At 5:47 in the morning, a butcher in Chengdu lifts one strip of pork onto a scale. The display changes by only a few yuan, but that tiny movement will travel far beyond this counter. It will reach a family deciding what to cook, a farmer deciding whether to keep another sow, a feed mill buying corn and soybeans, a bank judging whether a livestock company can survive another bad quarter, and eventually a government office watching the national price index. This is not just a piece of meat. It is one of the most sensitive gauges in China's economy. China produced nearly 60 million tons of pork in 2025. More than 700 million pigs were slaughtered that year. At that scale, a small price change becomes a very large event. And the strange part is that the pig does not have to move. The price does the moving for it. To see why, we have to follow this pork backward. Past the supermarket, past the refrigerated truck, past the slaughterhouse, all the way back to a farmer staring at an empty pen. Several months earlier, pork prices were rising. For shoppers, that meant a more expensive dinner. For the farmer, it looked like an invitation. More pigs could mean more profit. So the farmer kept more breeding sows. Another farm expanded its barns. A large company ordered new feeding equipment. Everyone responded to the same signal. But pigs are not software. You cannot create millions of them with one update. A sow must be bred. Piglets must be born. They must survive disease. They must eat for months, and only then can supply reach the market. By the time the extra pork arrives, the original shortage may already be gone. Now too many pigs are chasing the same customers. Wholesale prices begin to fall. The farmer who expanded at the top discovers that feed bills did not fall with them. Profit disappears before the pigs do, so producers send more animals to market. That creates even more supply, and prices fall again. This is the pig cycle. High prices create expansion. Expansion creates oversupply. Oversupply destroys profit. Low profit forces contraction. Contraction creates the next shortage. And the wheel begins again. China's version of this cycle is enormous. One turn affects farmers across many provinces. It affects slaughterhouses, cold storage, transport, and retail. It also reaches far outside China. Every pig is built partly from grain. Corn becomes energy. Soybean meal becomes protein. Feed becomes weight. Weight becomes pork. So a decision in a Chinese pig barn can influence grain traders thousands of kilometers away. A drought in a soybean region can raise feed costs. A trade dispute can redirect imports. A weak hog price can reduce demand for feed. The pig is connected to the world long before it becomes dinner. But feed is only one risk. In August 2018, African swine fever reached China. It was the first recorded occurrence of the disease in Asia. The virus does not threaten people. It is devastating to pigs. One infected farm can turn a business plan into a biosecurity emergency. Vehicles must be cleaned, workers must be controlled, animals must be tested. Infected herds may have to be destroyed. The outbreak broke the normal rhythm of supply. Pork became scarce. Prices surged. Imports rose. Other meats became more expensive as shoppers searched for substitutes, and the pig suddenly looked less like livestock and more like national infrastructure. The shock also changed who could survive in the industry. Small farms could raise pigs cheaply, but large operators could spend more on sealed facilities, testing, and controlled feed. The barn started to resemble a factory. Workers passed through disinfecting gates. Data screens tracked temperature, weight, and movement. The pig became part animal, part industrial process. That made production more controlled. It did not make the cycle disappear. Large companies can also expand too aggressively. In fact, scale can make a mistake larger. When one small farmer misreads the market, one village feels it. When many industrial farms misread it together, the national price index feels it. This is why officials watch a peculiar number. The pig-to-grain price ratio? It compares the value of a hog with the cost of the grain used to raise it. When the ratio falls too low, farmers are likely losing money. When it rises too high, consumers may be facing painful prices. The ratio turns a living animal into an economic warning light. And when that light flashes, the state can intervene. If pork prices collapse, authorities can buy frozen pork for reserves. That removes some supply and offers support to producers. If prices surge, reserves can be released. Imports can rise. Capacity can be encouraged. The goal is not to choose one perfect price. It is to stop the wheel from spinning violently enough to hurt both farmers and families. In 2025, the wheel turned downward again. China's pork output rose to 59.38 million tons. By December, pork prices were 14.6% lower than a year earlier. That decline alone pulled the consumer price index down by about 0.20 percentage points. In early 2026, pork prices kept falling. By June, they were almost 16% below the previous year. Cheap pork sounds like good news? For the shopper at the butcher counter, it often is. But for a farmer already carrying debt, cheaper pork can be a warning. If the farm loses money long enough, breeding animals are removed. Investment stops. Workers leave. Months later, supply tightens, and the cheap dinner can become an expensive one. This delayed reaction is what makes the pig cycle so difficult to control. Today's low price contains the seed of tomorrow's high price. Today's high price pays for tomorrow's oversupply. The market keeps answering the past. Government policy is also answering the past. In April 2026, authorities again began purchasing frozen pork for central reserves. Officials also moved to reduce excessive production capacity. The message was unusual but clear. China did not need more pigs at any cost. It needed a healthier balance between supply, demand, and farmer income. That balance is becoming harder to judge. Chinese diets are changing. Consumers have more alternatives than before. Beef, poultry, seafood, and prepared food compete for the same meal. An aging population changes how much food households buy. Slower economic confidence changes where they spend. Yet pork still occupies a special place. It appears in home cooking, restaurants, festivals, dumplings, and regional dishes. So its price remains unusually visible. A family may not read a national inflation report. They notice when the same basket buys less meat. A farmer may not study monetary policy. They notice when one pig sells for less than the feed inside it. A grain trader may not care about dinner customs. They notice when millions of animals change the demand for soy and corn. That is the real reason the pig moves China's economy. Not because pork alone controls growth, but because it connects systems that are usually discussed separately. Urban consumption, rural income, global grain trade, food security, disease control, corporate debt, and government intervention. The pig is not the engine. It is the dashboard light. When it flashes red, something somewhere in the system is under pressure. When it turns green, producers may expand too confidently. And when everyone trusts the signal at the same time, the next cycle begins. Back in Chengdu, the butcher wraps the pork and hands it to the customer. The scale returns to zero. The transaction looks small, but behind that single number stands a farm, a feed ship, a disease laboratory, a freezer reserve, and a national price index. The pig never entered the central bank. It never attended a policy meeting. It never crossed a spreadsheet. It did not need to. Its price had already done all of that.